Hi, this is Gayle Palmer, the osteopath at the Living Elements Clinic, and today I wanted to talk to you about hay fever. A lot of people struggle with hay fever. It is an allergy or a sensitivity to specific antigens in pollen. Different people react differently to different pollens, so you might be okay with some of the tree pollens earlier in the year commonly, but come the grass pollen time, which is around May, June, that's when you can get the most problems. Other people think they have hay fever, but actually they have a problem with fungi later in the year. So come the late August, September, October, when the fungal spores are about in much more prevalence, they start the hay fever type symptoms. So what are the hay fever symptoms? Typically you get a blocked up nose and you produce more snot. You can end up with streaming eyes. You can end up with a sore throat if your tonsillar tissue gets inflamed as it tries to deal with the inflammatory response. And often it's the inflammatory response that causes the most problems. So hay fever is known to often be linked with asthma and with eczema, which are all inflammatory responses. So if we're able to reduce the inflammatory response or physically stop the pollens getting through to our mucous membranes, then we're able to reduce the hay fever symptoms, whatever those might be. So I've got a few top tips. Some are very simple, easy to do at home, and you should have no problems with. Others you need to be a bit more proactive throughout the year in order for them to make a difference. So let's start with the basics. Obviously, if you are able to stop the pollens going into your mouth and in through your nose and into your eyes, that's a great help. So if you are going out into the countryside and you know that you have an issue with pollens of any description, and you know that it's particularly if the trees are flowering, wear dark glasses. Why do you wear dark glasses? Because it stops the pollens going in and the light level is decreased, and that also seems to make a difference. I'm not quite sure why, but it does. So dark glasses when you're going out for a walk, it does help. Any glasses will do, obviously physical barrier. And then if you're also going out into the fields or going for a walk, wear a scarf or a mask over your face. This is a chiffon scarf. It's quite fine material, but it's easy to breathe through. So you literally can just wrap yourself up in this. Whoops. Pop it around yourself like that. Cover your nose, cover your mouth, and that will help. You might find that's a little bit too much, but it does make a difference. What else can you do? There are all sorts of natural remedies that you can take. One of the best ones is local, raw, organic honey. Why is that? Honeybees collect pollen for a wide variety of plants and trees throughout the year, and they then produce from the nectar and from the pollen the honey that we then eat. Now, if you have a particular allergy or sensitivity to a particular pollen, if you get honey that is made at the time of year that the trees are flowering, your system gradually becomes more and more what's called accommodated or used to that type of honey. That type of pollen and that type of antigen. And so your inflammatory response is massively decreased. This does not work if you suddenly start taking it in the middle of being surrounded by all the pollens. You need to take it systematically, about a teaspoon a day, locally produced honey from early part of the year, even back end of the previous year. so that you start to build up your immunity and desensitize your system. So you definitely need to be starting taking it January, February, before tree pollens start coming into flower. But it does make quite a significant difference. It's also strongly antimicrobial, strongly antiviral, antibacterial as well, and it really helps to boost your immune system. And because it has a low glycemic value, although it is still sugary, so diabetics need to be careful, it has much less of a reaction. So if you're careful, you can still take it. Where do you get local honey from? Locally around Chichester area. Tuppenny Barn down in Southbourne sells local honey. They make it themselves and it's raw. The Grange up at Funtington, the farm shop up there, they have local honey. Langston, which is Sina Common Honey Farm, they have local honey. Southbourne Shop, they have local honey. And Manuka, the wonderful organic shop in East Street in Chichester, they also get hold of organic honey, which is local. So all of those places are useful, and obviously there are quite a lot of, there's about 200 beekeepers in the area, so you are able to get hold of local honey from them. But always ask, if you think you have a particular problem to a particular type of pollen, ask to get honey that is produced at the time of year that those plants are flowering, because that will have the antigens for that particular species that you are sensitive to. And then ways to reduce your sensitivity and your histamine response, which is what causes a lot of the stuffiness, literally the stuffiness, is taking omega-3 oils. I specifically recommend Salmon Oil Plus by GNLD. I have found it to be extremely good at reducing inflammation throughout the body. So not only for asthma, eczema and hay fever sufferers, but also for those who have arthritis, get frequent headaches or migraines. They might have other inflammatory reactions going on, and for my patients it's made a tremendous difference for their overall health, gut health, heart health, circulation, etc. There are also homeopathic remedies that seem to work quite well. There are various mixtures of pollens that they are able to supply, so it's worth getting hold of a homeopath or homeopathic pharmacy in order to get those. If you're sensitive to tree pollens, you need a tree pollen one. If you're sensitive to fungi spores, then you need to get a fungal homeopathic remedy. If you're sensitive to grass pollens, there's a different remedy for that, because it's obviously they're antigen specific, and that again makes a big difference. But you do need to take those well before your period of sensitivity starts. So I hope that that has been useful to you, and you've got some ideas of how you can help yourself during this hay fever season. With a bit of luck, if the rain falls, it keeps the pollens down and everyone suffers less. If you've got any questions, get back to me. If you want to get hold of the Salmon Oil Plus, it is available in the clinic. Again, leave me a message, go via the Living Elements Clinic Facebook page, and if you would like to like the post or subscribe to the Living Elements Clinic YouTube channel, I'd be grateful. That's Gayle Palmer, where your health is my priority.